Alrighty, so what's up, you guys? Here's my reaction to the 2026 NBA dunk contest. So first and foremost, let's get straight into it. So this is a comment that I saw on the highlights for the 2026 NBA dunk contest, and this pretty much sums it up right here. So I'm gonna read this comment and then I'll explain what I thought about this NBA dunk contest here. So this is a comment from YouTube here. It says, At this point, can we just bring in some random street ballers for the dunk contest? It would probably be 100 more times entertaining. And that right there, in my opinion, sums up how unentertaining this 2026 NBA dunk contest was. So I thought that Mac McClung was going to definitely be in the dunk contest. A few days before the dunk contest, he announced that he wasn't going to be doing it. He definitely would have made history and won the dunk contest again, because obviously he didn't have any competition if he were to be in it. But obviously he wouldn't have had any competition if he were to be in the 2026 NBA dunk contest. So let's get into talking about this here. Very underwhelming. Talented players, I give them that. Talented players. But in regards to it being a dunk contest on the NBA level, very underwhelming. And unfortunately, it's been like that. It's been like that for a while now with the NBA. Every now and then you'll have a great dunk contest. You'll have a Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. 2020 was the 2020 dunk contest was solid. Even the last few years. But I will say this about the last 3 years: if it wasn't for Mac McClung, the NBA would be on a big losing streak in regards to the NBA dunk contest. So Mac McClung, for the past few years, he's really made the NBA dunk contest. He's really made it. And he's not even one of the star players, or even close to one of the star players in the NBA. But yeah, unless there's something like that going on, you just get some random guy, you get some guy that's just you just really don't expect for him to excel in the NBA dunk contest, or you have like a Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, or you have some type of superstar player in the dunk contest. It's just not looking good, unfortunately. These last several years. Forgive me, you guys. I'm trying to get some good light in here. I'm on my lunch break, by the way. But anyway, yeah, so let's get into talking about this NBA dunk contest some more here. So one thing, I don't want to just be all negative and things like that. So one thing that I can say that I enjoyed about this NBA dunk contest, how they had each player come out. They basically had like their own little introductions, right before they did their dunks. I did like that idea. It brought a different approach to providing entertainment, for the crowd. So I did like that. That was pretty solid. I like how they, rather than just doing what they've done in years past. I like how they introduced the players, and each player came out and, and just had their own little introduction before they did their dunk. So I did like that part about it. I feel like the guy, what's his name, from the Miami Heat. Why am I forgetting his name? Let me look at my notes here. They didn't have a lot of big time players. Kashad Johnson, he came out. I guess he tried to entertain the crowd, doing a bunch of dancing and stuff like that. It was a little bit odd to me, but hey, it is what it is. I guess that's his personality or whatever, So I really wasn't into that, but I guess he was trying to hype up the crowd and just get the crowd going, getting himself pumped up and stuff like that. So anyway, so the opening dunk, 360 windmill. Solid dunk. I can't do it, Solid dunk, but it just didn't have that same. It didn't have that same energy to it, and that same flair to it, like Vince Carter had, back in the year 2000. Year 2000, Vince Carter. I believe the All-Star game was in Oakland back then. But year 2000, Vince Carter came out, and everybody's like, oh man, what this dude about to do? He got the most hops in the NBA. You didn't know what he was about to do. So he came out and he did that 360 windmill. Like, man, that's one of the most memorable dunks in NBA history, But Bryant from the San Antonio Spurs. Great dunker. Not taking anything from him, but for the NBA dunk contest, when you come out and do a dunk like that, it's got to have that flair to it, you know, because when it doesn't have that flair to it, you know, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't have that same, it just didn't have that same flair to it, you know. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, you know, and you can, you know how you can really tell, you can tell from the audience reaction, you know, the NBA did their thing, you know, they try to provide the fireworks and the smoke and the special effects and all of that stuff to hype the crowd out, to hype the crowd up. But I mean, as fans and, you know, watching it on YouTube, watching it on TV or whatever, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the crowd is not super hyped. They're not super excited about these dunks that they're seeing, you know. So anyway, decent 360 windmill. Okay, I give them that, but it just for a dunk contest, I mean, we seen it before, but it just didn't have that flair. It just didn't have that style to it, you know. So what else can I say about this this NBA dunk contest here? So Jace Richardson, you know, he had a decent first dunk as well. You know, unfortunately, you know, he almost got injured, you know, trying to dunk. You know, his second dunk was solid. You know, what was that? Two-handed 360 windmill. I'm sorry, not a two-handed 360 windmill. A two-handed 360. That was a decent dunk. You know, so I'm just, you know, as I'm seeing these dunks, you know, what I'm thinking is, it's like, okay, I mean, are they trying to entertain the crowd? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, again, I can't do these dunks, so I can't knock these players. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I'm just gonna hold off on that thought right there real quick. I'm gonna hold off on that one. I'm gonna get back to it a little bit later on in this video. This video won't be too long. I'm trying to make it only about 10 minutes. So I get back to what I was about to say right there. So Carter Bryant, you know, his second dunk, I mean, it was decent too, you know. Alley-oop pass to himself for a windmill, you know. It was a solid dunk. But again, you know, for a dunk contest, it's like, okay, all right. You know, I guess on a high school level, or if, you know, you see some people at the park, or you see somebody in a layup line or something like that before the game, you're like, oh, man, that's okay, dang. You know, dude got bounced. But in the NBA dunk contest, it's like, it's just underwhelming, you know. Let's see, what else could I say here? You know, so Keshad Johnson, you know, from the Miami Heat came out, jumped over E40. You know, he did get a lot of ups. You know, I like that. I like how he came out, you know, did the whole Karl Malone pose thing. You know, he jumped over E40. You know, he's not a short dude or whatever. But then again, you know, I just had to think to myself, okay, not that he would jump over somebody in a game and do that. That would be crazy. That would be one of the best dunks ever. But, you know, if he just did that dunk by itself, you know, without jumping over somebody, of course, in a regular NBA season game, that would be a really good dunk. That would be a really nice dunk. But again, in an NBA dunk contest, it's just not what you expect. You expect more than that. You expect a little bit more flair than that. So just going forward here, just discussing the rest of the dunks here. So Keshad Johnson, you know, third dunk, solid dunk. You know, self alley-oop, bounce past himself, you know, through the legs, under the rim, kind of like a reverse dunk at the same time. So that, again, solid dunk. But you look at it being in the NBA dunk contest versus, let's just say the Miami Heat were playing the Lakers or something like that. You know, it's just a regular season game. That would be a really good dunk. That would be probably like #1 on the NBA top 10 countdown, or #1 on ESPN or something like that. But since it was in an NBA dunk contest, I'm just looking at it like, it's solid. You know, he got a lot of hang time on it. Very athletic guy, but it's just not cutting it. It's just not cutting it. You know what I'm saying? The judges, you know, talking about the people who are, you know, giving the scores for the dunks, you know. Now, let me hold that thought too. Anyway, so the judges, you know, so it was Corey Maggette, Brent Barry, Dwight Howard, Dominique Wilkins, and Dr. J. They didn't look too impressed. And I'm not even trying to sound like I'm hating or whatever, or just underrating the dunkers and stuff like that and trying to sound negative and all of those things. But I'm just keeping it real. I mean, even the judges, you know, you can kind of see it on their faces too, and through their expressions, you know, they kind of like, okay, this is kind of an underwhelming dunk contest here, but okay, you know, we still gonna get a scores anyway, you know. I don't think that any of the dunks were really a 50. I think somebody got a 50. Let me know who that was in the comments, you guys. Who that was that got a 50 on their dunk. I know it was at least one person, but looking at all of the dunks that were in this 2026 NBA dunk contest, I don't think that any of these dunks were really deserving of a 50. I really don't. And that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe you think differently. Maybe you think I'm being overboard or something like that, or I'm just being too critical of the players, you know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I didn't see any 50 dunks in this dunk contest, you know, and that's really unfortunate. I didn't see any dunks where it's like, oh man, we're gonna always remember this dunk. We're gonna always remember this dunk contest, you know. I think this is almost like a very forgettable dunk contest, you know, and I'm keeping it real, but I'm trying not to be overly critical, you know. But I think that this is a really forgettable dunk contest. So going forward here, let's see here. So it would be great to see more talent, more creativity, I guess you would say, in the NBA dunk contest. And it doesn't have to necessarily be the superstars of the league. I know that there's a lot of debate about that, a lot of talk about that. And I don't necessarily agree with that, you know, because dunking is, it's not about your superstardom. It's not about you being LeBron James or Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant or anything like that. Like, sure, if they were to join it, if they were to join the NBA dunk contest, that would be great. But I think that the NBA dunk contest is more so about your creativity as a dunker. You know, how creative can you be? You know, if you're going to go out and do a 360 windmill, which we've seen 1,000 times now, can you add that extra flair to it? Can you add that extra oomph to it? Can you add that extra entertainment value to it? What can you do to it where you can leave the crowd and the consumer saying, wow, that was a nice dunk? What can you do that's different than what we've seen before? Because like I said, when I first started this video, you know, you had that comment on YouTube. Let me go back to that. Again, this is a comment on YouTube here under the NBA dunk contest. It says, at this point, we can just bring in some random street ballers for the NBA dunk contest. And it's like, I totally get it. I agree with it. I mean, you can look up on YouTube right now, on Facebook or whatever, random street ballers doing doing exciting dunks. And I guarantee you 100% you'll be more entertained by that than what you just saw in the 2026 NBA dunk contest. So again, not taking anything away from the players that participated as dunk participants, because they've earned their way to the NBA and things like that. They're great players, some of the best players in the entire world. So not taking anything away from them, but it's just the creativity and the entertainment aspect of it that is very underwhelming in this NBA dunk contest. So let's see here. So also, you know, another thing that I noticed, and I'm pretty sure that you guys noticed it too. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And by the way, while you're watching this video, thank you. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel here. I'm trying to get up to 50 subscribers. I'm at 45. Let's see if we can get that number up to 50. So getting back to this here. So you had Jackson Hayes. Now, if you guys can remember, a couple of weeks ago, he played the Bulls. This is the Let's Talk Bulls podcast here. You know, I'm usually talking about the Bulls, but I'm branching off today, talking about the whole NBA. But if you notice, they played the Bulls a couple of weeks ago in Chicago here at the United Center. And Jackson Hayes, you know, he got on the fast break, got, you know, all to himself, went between the legs and dunked it on us, you know. So the crowd is oohing and eyeing like, oh man, that was cold, that was nice. Oh man, what in the world? So basically he did the same dunk in the NBA dunk contest. And that proves my point right there. When he did it, it wasn't like the crowd was like, oh man, wow, he just did that dunk. But you rewind some time ago when he's playing the Bulls a couple weeks ago here in Chicago, he does it in game, that same dunk, you know, between the legs, dunks it. you know, in game, regular season versus the Chicago Bulls, totally different reaction from the crowd. So that's why I'm not taking anything away from these players. They're very athletic, some of the best athletes in the world and things like that, and that's great. It's just that the dunks and the entertainment that they provided in this dunk contest are very underwhelming for a dunk contest. Now, when they do if they were to do those same dunks in a regular NBA season game, or especially like the playoffs or something, now people will be talking about that. People will be like, whoa, like, hey, that was a nice dunk. That was a nice 360. That was a nice alley-oop into a windmill. That was a nice 360 windmill. You know what I'm saying? You guys get my point on that, you know? So I'm looking forward to better NBA dunk contests in the future. Again, it's not about superstardom. I mean, I get it, you know, on the surface level, you know, everybody wants to see LeBron, Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, so on and so forth. I get it. But I don't think it's necessarily about you being a superstar player or all-star player. You don't even have to be a well-known player. You know, you look at Mac McClung, you know, when he first did it, it's like, hey, who is this guy? Like, he's like barely in the NBA, or he just signed a 10-day contract or whatever. And not taking anything away from him either, because I know these people work hard, and I don't want anybody taking anything away from me, but I'm just keeping it real, you know, in regards to the entertainment and how underwhelming this NBA dunk contest was. So this video is a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be. Thank you guys for tuning in anyway. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for subscribing if you've already done so. If you haven't already subscribed, let's help get that subscriber number up to at least 50 subscribers. I'm at 45 right now. So thank you guys for checking out this video. Forgive me for the lighting, you guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk Bulls podcast. I know I didn't talk about the Bulls in this video, but that's the name of the podcast anyway. Just letting you guys know what team I'm rocking with. You know, don't get it twisted out here. You know, I'm talking about all these other players, but hey, I'm still Chicago Bulls all day. You know, peace out. Hit that subscribe button though. Have a good one.